hey, I'll be here 6 months. I'm going to find something else I'm going to do. I don't think real estate's my thing. I'm 28 years old, my worst year economically, and my son's born. The real estate I'd bought all had problems. I bought a model home in there for $1.2 million, put 20% down there. They were leasing it for 10 grand a month. I'd never heard this. They just emailed me, and the agreement was, right, the real lease is like a year, and then it goes month to month until they're done. And they'd never backed out of these. They came to me and go, no, we're just going to move the fence over one and cut out the third model. I was like, wait a minute, but that's mine. Like, that would be a disaster. So I tried to move in there to make it work. And ultimately, I had some short sales. I had to work through some things. It was impactful. And the way I'd won in life previously was throwing in hours in. I just worked harder than everybody. And now I realize if I apply that same skill, I'm never going to see my kid.
Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors, where millionaires are made. Today we have Brett Tanner with Be Wealthy. Brett lives here in the Phoenix area also, and he's here to talk about how he went from broke farm kid to now coaching millionaires. Now, guys, I'm on a mission to create 100 millionaires myself. The information on the show alone isn't enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you'll become one. And guys, if you're already a millionaire, we want to recognize you here. So scan that QR code so we can highlight you here on the show. And if you're not a millionaire yet and you want some help, you can also scan that same QR code. Before we jump in, if you're here to learn how real entrepreneurs are building real empires, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because every week we're bringing lessons here that can create your first or your next million. And guys, our AI lead manager is now up and running. If you want to hear what it sounds like, text AI caller to the phone number 33777. Again, that's AI caller 33777. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. I think officially, going back to the records, you were the longest awaited guest to be on the show.
You did reach out quite a while ago, and I at that time I wasn't doing any other podcasts. I've actually only done a handful, so I reached back out to you as soon as I was going to do some podcasts.
Yeah,
I wanted to do yours first out of for our relationship, and you were one of the first to reach out. So I appreciate the opportunity. I'm excited to be here.
Well, I'm excited to see what we're going to be talking about today, because you have a different journey, and I look back to all the people I've connected with in the Phoenix area, people that have been on the show. And I think I'm looking back, you're probably the earliest everyone I've connected with. That's kind of as we've gone through this journey. So, but before we get into that, let's talk about what was your life like before you got into real estate?
So I grew up in the middle of nowhere, Colorado, Dove Creek, Colorado, pinto bean capital of the world. I don't like to brag.
Pinto bean.
Pinto bean. That's what my parents do. They're farmers.
Okay.
Where I grew up, it was 17 people in my high school graduating class. So you have to think about 100 people in the high school. And in that group, I wasn't competitive. I was in the top 5 of 17, which tells you the level of genius I brought to the table at that moment. But so grew in the middle of nowhere. And then learned a lot of lessons on the farm, right? I did many things that were entrepreneurial. Mostly worked in my dad's factory a lot. And so the bean, it's called an elevator for whatever reason. So worked there, spent a lot of time and learned the value of just brutal hard work.
Makes sense.
And so, when I got in the business arena, my joke is I brought a farmer's work ethic to the business arena.
Yeah.
Had a lot of experiences there, from raising pigs. At one time we had the shed, so where we keep all the grain. It leaked. So there's about 50,000 pounds of grain that my dad said we got to throw away, right? Take the bobcat out, bury it. And I'm like, well, what can I do with a little bit of wet grain? Pigs eat grain. So I had this genius idea as a junior in high school to go get a bunch of pigs. Because if I buy the pigs, I have free food. You have to be able to make some money. I made money, but if I figured my time at like 10 cents an hour, I don't think I would have made money. And I got to the end of that experience, and first, when you start building these fences, when the pigs are little, it's not a big deal. As they get big, they'll just lift the whole fence up. So every day before school, I'm wrangling 200-pound pigs, trying to get them back in there. And I ultimately sold them, and I made a little bit of money. And my dad's like, "Oh, how'd it work?" And I'm like, "This was a total failure. It was so much effort. I didn't get paid." He goes, "Oh yeah, I did this 30 years ago as a disaster, but I wanted you to have the experience." I was like, "Well, there's a lot of ways I could have got that experience without you doing that." And he said something to me. He's like, "Nothing ventured, nothing gained." And that's the way he really impressed. You could have everything. We didn't have money growing up, but he was a super abundant thinker.
Right.
And so while we didn't yet have the money we wanted, it was out there. We just had to figure out how we're going to get it. So I think he just really impressed upon me in that early part, make it happen. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah. Got it. And how did you get from that to Arizona?
So go to college, ASU.
Okay.
Again, not a genius academic. And so I realized that I wanted to get through school as quickly as possible. So I took the max load I could at ASU. I took college credits at the community college, just trying to get it done in 3 years. I wanted to get out of school and do anything but school. And I actually, quote, graduated. You know, you can walk with a diploma and still be 6 credits short of your degree.
Oh.
And and you have to go to summer school is the intention. I never went back. I became an entrepreneur, and I was going to my intention was to get a degree in pre-law. I interned with this great attorney, and I realized I wanted nothing to do with that career at that time. And the eye-opening part was actually, the guy was a named partner in the firm, and I was interning, and I said, hey man, can I pick you up for court tomorrow? And what I really wanted to see is the life he had. And I got to see it, and it had a huge impression on me. And I saw that he didn't have anything in the life I wanted. Just the relationship with his family was terrible, with his wife was terrible. He had a reasonable house. He's working all the time in the world. And I was like, I don't want to become him. And so I immediately decided to go a different direction.
So you had that presence of mind to see like, oh, that's actually not what I want very quickly. And that's something we talked about like on the show a few different times. It was just basically, if you want to do something, the best way to make sure that's actually what you want is to go actually like observe it. Because like we have these ideas like, this is what I'm going to go do. But then you get there like, oh, that's actually not what I wanted to do. Right? That was, for me, that was engineering.
Yeah,
so
totally.
For you, it was law.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So then you quickly pivoted.
Quickly, I realized that I was going to be an entrepreneur. So while I'm in college, I was actually, I have $20, dating this girl who's my wife today. And the bookstore came out. And you got to remember, we're getting the mindset of this is 99, 2000. So Amazon exists, internet's out there, but email, like in college, you could submit your paper via email, but the professor wouldn't accept it.
Yeah.
Right. They were physical paper. I mean, so for the listeners to get like, feels like I'm a dinosaur explaining it like this. But so I took $20, bought these books, and went online and sold them for like $200. So I turned $20 into $200 in 5 days. And my girl was like, what are you going to do now? I'm like, well, I'm going to buy 200 books.
Of course.
Right. So it's just, this is how you scale things. I don't even know what that means back then. Pretty quickly, we got up to, we had 100,000, 200,000 books.
Oh, really?
I mean, it started, just because you're 5Xing everything. So I went to ASU, and they would, at the end of the year, ASU would sell the brand new books, like, first edition, for like $1, even though the book was $80. But if you looked at a community college in Oklahoma, they would happily use that second edition book. And instead of $70, they might buy it for $35. So you buy a book for $1, you sell it for $35. The margin's pretty good, right?
Arbitrage is pretty good.
You can make it, and then you charge $1 for shipping. So now I've neutralized the book cost. So it's all air.
Yeah.
And so I was probably at 19, 20 years old, making like $300,000, flipping books online.
Wow.
And I have no idea what a P&L is, right? I mean, I'm a hustler. And so, I had some good mentoring. I reached out to a CPA, they tell me I need to file taxes, and I have a P&L, and I don't know what that means. And so started that part of, and I was lucky enough to have a mentor. Called a bunch of CPAs, and I got this Southern guy. He's passed away. He was my mentor. I gave a speech at his funeral, and calling all these people, he said, hey, come in, I'm going to help you, kid. He's like, you're lost out there. You need to get in here, and I'm going to wrangle you a little. I was like, thanks, man. So that journey kind of helped me professionalize some of my skills. Went on, and that kind of led to my first real failure, right? You get 19 or 20 years old and you get $300,000, those aren't inflation adjusted dollars. So that'd be whatever that is today, 800,000. So you do all the things a 19-year-old or 20-year-old would do, right? You're going to buy the boats and jet skis and stuff and crap. I mean, I was still buying investments, but my mind wasn't as well thought out maybe as today.
Yeah.
So that restaurant ultimately became a disaster. I bought a business, my first real business lesson, where I learned that people lie in business. Yeah. So the financials he gave me, the restaurant's doing $800 to $1,000 a day in revenue, right? So he's got to, on his earn out, he's got to teach me the business. Well, the first day we do $200. Like, wait a minute, you had a 3-year average of $800 to $1,000, and the first day we do 200 is just a bad day. Well, the next day is 200, the next day is 200. So I realized
You actually bought and closed.
Oh, I bought and closed. Oh yeah, you only get this. The financials were all just
pro forma.
Well, just lies. I mean, they're literal lies.
So walk me through. So you bought a restaurant.
Oh yeah.
Like, was this like BizBuy? I mean, was BizBuy even a thing yet?
Kind of. It was a broker back then. You worked at the business broker.
So he was a broker.
Yeah.
And
who were kind of like typically like the lowliest of folks, right? They're just not the most integrity folks. I don't want to make a generalized statement, but it's not a great industry.
Sure.
Yeah.
So they see this kid with a lot of money.
Yeah.
I got this restaurant I need to sell.
Yeah.
Hey kid, by this restaurant.
Dude, how cool is it going to be if you have your own restaurant, right?
It's pretty cool.
The coolest thing ever.
Right.
It's actually not cool at all. So you get in there and you realize, man, I'm going to lose. This book business is making all this money. And now I'm just going to start chewing it up in this other business that makes nothing.
Yeah.
And I had this idea to where I've got to create mass amounts of revenue. Like I can't sell an extra sandwich isn't my problem. And so there was a charter school around the corner in Ahwatukee. The restaurant was at 44th and Chandler Boulevard, Brew Cheese, by the way. Great franchisor, cool. The corporate company's cool. They were franchisee through. Just the guy that sold it to me was, a dirtbag. So I go to the school and I said, hey, I would like to volunteer my time because I know that Pizza Hut delivers pizza here to the kids at school. And I'd love to just deliver them. Yeah. And they're like, oh, gosh, we're great for volunteers. What I was trying to figure out is how they did it.
Yeah.
Because I have ovens, I can make, there was a sandwich shop. I was like, well, if I can make bread, I can make pizza. I mean, how hard can it be? So I watch how they do it. I go to the school, the K through 12, and I pitch that I could run the K through 12 meal program and deliver the meals. And I land the contract. So I'm like, at this point, I'm probably 21 or 22 years old. And I land the contract for the whole school. Come home to my fiance now. And I'm like, good news. We got 500 meals a day that we got to pump out by 11. So now it starts that we're at like 3 or 4 in the morning getting, her and I are the workers in this shop.
Yeah.
And so now I've just created endless work. And now we're profitable because of this contract, but it just wasn't going. So ultimately I got out of that business. I shut it down, and it was a great lesson in.
How was selling pizzas for a franchise that was a sandwich shop?
Well, you didn't tell the franchise. You were just kind of doing pizzas. That was our early opening activities. And Steve, if you've never had the experience of having a bag, like I can take those, the brown bags you put a sandwich in, I can take one and pop it with one hand, chips, sandwich, cookie, one, right? And you do that 500 times. I mean, the skills you develop, a lot of repetitive motion. I mean, I can do, I can pop a bag. It's an incredible skill. I'll never forget.
Gotcha. All right. So hustle. You can hustle your way out of a problem, and you got rid of that. You shut it down. You sold it, or you just shut it down?
I shut it down. Let's get out of this thing. We're done. Get out of here. Yeah.
All right. So then what was your next move?
Next move, I'd always been fascinated by real estate. So I read The Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That was the unlock for me.
Yeah.
Reading that, realizing, okay. And it kind of tied out to my earlier beliefs, which were having a high income may not lead you to be wealthy. I'm kind of figuring that out now. Then you read like The Rich Dad and the Poor Dad, and you realize, oh, the rich people, and I think there's a big difference between rich and wealthy, which we'll probably get to.
Yeah.
But realizing that is, I think was a big thing for me, and realized that real estate was likely going to be my path. And so from there, I really started, I got started flipping homes. No license. I realized this was going to be something I could do.
When was this?
This is like 2003, 2-3. Did my first couple and did, okay, right? You're learning, bumping through it. Now, about that time, now we're leading into 2004. The world's starting, it's heating up. And so back then, I don't know if any one of your guests have ever done this, I'm curious. You could basically give $1,000 to a builder, and they would start building your home.
Yes.
It would appreciate so much over those 9 months that you might just close on it and sell it, and you could make like 40, 50, 60 grand.
Right.
Now they started having lotteries. Well, there were kind of legal ways to rig those lotteries. I just have all my friends go. Some is going to get pulled, and they're going to choose to give me their ticket, and then I'm going to go, shocker, here's $1,000.
Right.
So I'd have a lot of new build homes being built, and the ones that hit the certain margin, you'd sell them, and it would. And I think I'm the smartest flipper of our time, even though because it's nothing that I'm doing, right? It's all market driven, forces beyond me. The market's just lifting it, and I'm making the money. But that was a wild ride.
Well, another thing too, for everyone that's listening, the greatest thing about this bet was that was $1,000, and if it paid off, you made 30, 40, 50K. If it didn't, you just lost your $1,000, right? That is one of the best bets you can make. You can make that bet all day, every day. I didn't know anyone that was actively putting people in the in the lottery, which is genius. But yeah, I did know people that are like, I've got this community, that community, and they're basically they got lottery tickets in every community. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I wasn't able to buy enough, and so I was like, I wouldn't win every lottery, and I'm like, oh, there's a way to win all of them. And the builders didn't really care; they just wanted the lottery to feel like, it was a little more real. So yeah, we did. That was, and so then let's go to 2005. I buy this home in Scottsdale. 56 in Thunderbird. My neighbor about 6 months in says, hey, I heard you flip houses. And I'm like, and I'm one of those people where I don't really engage with my neighbors, not because they're good, bad, or indifferent. you're out all day. I don't know about you. I'm out all day. I'm dealing with the public. I'm helping people. And when I go home, I kind of just want to have it be my sanctuary.
Turn off.
I just want to turn off, right?
Yeah.
I don't want, it's not that I wouldn't give you a cup of sugar. It's just, I kind of want to unhook and I need a place that's my sanctuary. So he comes over, I heard you flip houses. I'm like, oh man, how did that get over there? But, and he goes, I'm actually in a bind. I need to sell my house. And so I'd bought my home at that point in time for, let's call it $275, and it was worth $350-ish. He's like, I would sell my home. I'm like, what would you sell it for? And he throws out a number. It was the first time I had my heart let go. Oh, that's an insane deal. There's at least $100,000 in equity in that deal. So I flip it and I make $200,000. And this was my first time. Like I did little whacks along the line, making 30 here, 50 there. But it's the first time you go, wow.
Right.
I'm a real great investor. Now, by the way, it's nothing that I'm doing that's genius, but my brain doesn't know that yet.
Yeah. Well, so it's not that different than what we had the last few years.
It's not that different. It felt just like 21, 22, right? Yeah. Identical. The next thing I realized the moment I sold that home, my home had doubled in value. So I sold it. I actually moved to Chandler at that point. Got a much bigger home in Chandler than I was getting in Scottsdale, just like the country area, because that's kind of where I grew up. Got my license as a result of all of this. I was flipping homes and using a realtor, and she was incredible. Taylor LeDuc, by the way, if she's still out there listening, she helped me a ton. And I got my license just to do my own deals. I had no intention of representing clients, just to do my own transactions. Yeah. But you have a buddy who wants to buy or sell, and you're like, I'll do it. Yeah. And I fell in love with the real estate business. And I came into it from the investor side, and I realized I was in two businesses. I had a real estate sales business, and I had this investment company, and they were totally different, but they had synergies together. And, from 2005, by the end of 2011, I was the number 9 agent in the country.
Well, it's interesting because it's mostly like I see, we kind of make this joke, like come to the dark side, right? Like we're taking realtors and turning them into wholesalers and flippers. But you were on the flip side and you actually enjoyed the realtor side. So, all right. So you became the number 9 in the country. And there's a couple things that happened along the way there.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So you want to hit a couple of those highlights, things that happened along the way to become number 9?
Hey, my name is Brian. I'm a real estate investor. Ian's sales training has helped me buy more houses at a deeper discount. Most recently, Ian helped me reframe a question which resulted in me buying a house for less money than other offers the seller had on the table. If you're considering sales training, I don't think you can go wrong with Ian's.
If you like what you just heard and would like similar types of success, text CLOSE to 33777 and we'll see if you qualify to join Objection-Proof Selling. We're taking good sales reps and we're making them objection-proof.
Yeah, sure. So get licensed in 2005 and it's just running really hard. My first year, I think I did like $900,000 in commission income my first year, largely selling the model homes for the builders.
Oh, okay.
So I went to the builders and they usually would sell them through their people or list them. And I said, hey, if I want to list all of them, they don't want to list them with me, right? And I said, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put up earnest money, $5,000 per home I don't sell. But if I do sell them, you're going to pay me a 6% commission and I'll sell all of them. And so I got the rights that they gave me a time frame. So now I've got to go. But if I hit this, I mean, it was massive amounts of money. So that worked really, really well. And then things are great. 2008, 6, 7, it gets harder. And in 2008, I looked at leaving the business.
Yeah.
All the smart money was going to real estate owned. They're doing bank-owned properties. And that was really intelligent. I looked at short sales. I think this is a thing, but I hung my license at Keller Williams. I was the small brokerage before that. And I literally told them when I joined, I said, hey, I'll be here 6 months. I'm going to find something else I'm going to do.
Yeah.
I don't think real estate's my thing, right? Again, at this point in time, I'm 28 years old. My son's being born the same year. So I've had all this success, my worst year economically, and my son's born.
What does that mean, worst year economically?
I probably went for, that if you're doing 900 commission, I didn't really have any expenses. So you're making $700,000. And I rode that train down to 150 to 200,000, which is still great money. But when you've just, your 28-year-old brain, when you're making 700 or 800,
become accustomed to a certain lifestyle.
150 I didn't have crazy expenses. I didn't have those problems.
Sure.
It just, I think mentally you're going, this isn't what success feels like, right? So I was in that place of, it was just hard. And I think it was the restaurant not working was hard. That was the first one. This was the second time where, man, it's hard. It's really, the real estate I'd bought, all had problems. And I bought the things, and those people are putting no money down. I went the other way. I was putting huge down payments. Like the T.W. Lewis community, San Sebastian, you probably know it at, Chandler Heights in Val Vista. I bought a model home in there for $1.2 million, put 20% down there. They were leasing it for $10,000 a month. Mm-hmm. And then I'd never heard this. They just emailed me, and the agreement was, we're going to lease the model as long as the community's here.
Right.
But that's like a verbal thing, right? The real lease is like a year, and then it goes month to month until they're done. Mm-hmm. And they'd never backed out of these. They came to me and go, no, we're just going to move the fence over one and cut out the third model. I was like, wait a minute, but that's mine. Like that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
So I tried to move in there to make it work. And ultimately I had some short sales. I had to work through some things. And I had, like I said, I'd put huge amounts of capital in all these. Bought a place up at Chaparral Pines from the developer. Again, model lease back. He's going to lease it back. So I learned at that point, I have my low moment. My income's down. Real estate, my investments are garbage.
Well, the income going down is one thing, but the real estate thing is really damaging.
I mean, you got a $10,000 a month. You were getting in rent. My payment on that was probably $7,000, and market rent's $5,000.
Yeah.
I hadn't considered what are the other exit strategies should this not work perfectly, right? Like all the sophistication of today, and so it was impactful, right? I mean, you've got a newborn. You're looking at your wife, and the way I'd won in life previously was throwing in hours in. Mm-hmm. I just worked harder than everybody. And now I realize if I apply that same skill, I'm never going to see my kid. And so I've got to learn. I got to, number one, find an industry that works. Number two, I've got to find a way to win that doesn't involve Brett's time and endless amounts of it, right? I got to learn to lead through others, which that's hard.
Yeah.
And it's about that time I made the decision I'm going to stay in real estate. I think this short sale thing is, everyone's running away from it. It's scary. Mm-hmm. They don't close. So I wrote out this whole business plan, and I'm going to go get all the short sales in the world.
Yeah.
And I thought they would take 6 to 8 months to close. So I budgeted for that. And
some did.
In the beginning, actually, none of mine did.
I was saying eventually some did.
Eventually it's great.
Yeah.
So the misunderstanding I had is it took about 14 months for the average one to close. Mm-hmm. And this is like minute zero. So now I've got 200 plus listings on the MLS, and I have endless problems, right? Like I don't have any money. I'm paying my staff to negotiate these. I'm trying to get more of them. And like, you need to buy 200 lock boxes. Well, we all know there's $20,000. Well, I could do a few of those, but I can't spend $20,000 every single day. I don't have it.
Yeah.
So I created the Arizona Lockbox Exchange. Like what Supra does now was my idea. So I just started blasting. And so at my office, you would see all the people that were getting out of the business because agents were just leaving the business.
I remember those days.
There was my favorite day ever is there was a line out the door. Sabrina, who's been with me 17 years as of Monday, has a rack of cash, and agents are lining up, and we're signing transfer forms and buying lock boxes for $25 instead of paying $100 because I need to save that 75%.
You find everything at really cheap prices.
Well, the best part of the deal is the REO agents would come around and say, "Can I buy the boxes?" And I go, "Sure, $50." So we would just sign a transfer form,
just flipping all day,
made my box free. I just needed to get free boxes. So then it's like, well, I need 200 signs. I can't afford 200 signs. So I bought a failed sign company. And then I have my friend sticking the signs and posts up. I mean, it was, and my belief was if they ever change these laws and they make the timeline short enough. I mean, I got 200 plus listings. I was the biggest lockbox holder in those times in Arizona, and they changed. And then my ship came in, right? And so from 2008, 9, 10, there was months we're closing 100 deals a month. And back then, a team, this isn't independent people that aren't really affiliated. This is my own group, selling 100 homes plus in a month.
Yeah.
And so we went from, leaving the business in 2008 to, I think in 2010, we did like 350 deals. And in 2011, it was like 675, which put us, a 9 in the country. And it was just wild to go from leaving the business to achieving in a short period of time.
So I think when you and I connected was right after you created that business plan, because I don't remember who the team leader was at Keller Williams, but she had reached out because like you got Michelle Lynn, right? She's writing articles about like, hey, realtors, there's this thing called short sales. You need to learn about it because this is the direction the industry is going. Like you're if nothing else, you're a legal liability if you don't understand what a short sale is.
Right.
Which again, kind of sounds like today.
Yeah.
And
But exactly like today, by the way. Yeah.
yeah. And I remember, again, I can't remember who the team leader was, but she had reached out and said, hey, we have this guy. He's teaching short sales. Thought you'd be helpful for you to come and check it out. So I came. She did the whole pitch, right? But I remember watching you, and there's two things I noticed. A, you knew what the hell you were talking about, but you were also nervous as heck. Like you were like, it was. I was trying to kind of get a feel like this guy knows what he's talking about very well, but he also seems like not very confident in himself.
Yeah.
As it was like a really interesting dynamic.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, but I mean, again, like I could tell, like it was again, like I just said this, right? Like this guy knows exactly what he's talking about, but for whatever reason, he sounds unsure about himself. And you were talking about this whole economic thing, that kind of like.
Yeah, I was getting my brains beat. I'm recently getting my brains beat in, right?
Yeah.
And I knew how to do short sales, but the rest of it was kind of figuring out as I went.
Yeah. So then 100 deals a month you're closing.
Yeah. 2010 or 11, the other months we closed 100, 108. Mm-hmm. And we got into the bank, and then we went to REO. We did the smart, we got smarter. Mm-hmm. Mind you, I still got this wonderful investment company running along the side, right? That I started before. So it's still doing its thing. Mm-hmm. It's working. I have a guy come to me and says, I want to invest money with you.
Yeah.
This is like now right around 2011, 12. So comes to me and says, hey, I've got capital. One of my employees introduced me. Mm-hmm. And I always kept when I did my flips, and I would encourage everyone to do this, by the way. Keep your initial settlement statement, your closing settlement statement, before photos, after photos, and create a little summary of what happened, right? I invested X dollars, I made Y return, and then annualize the return. Right? It's important to annualize it. Like the return on the asset's cool, but how quickly are you actually moving the dollars?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you can collapse time. So I slide the book across the table to this guy, and he's like, you're crushing it. I'm like, oh, I don't know about crushing it, but yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'd love to invest money. I said, I would never take your money, and I have no interest in an investor. Mm-hmm. And he said, why? I go, well, because I wake up every day and I serve customers, buyers and sellers. But when I flip homes, I get to make my own decision. Yeah. Right? I get to blow that wall out, or I get to make, and if I'm right, I get paid. Mm-hmm. If I'm wrong, I get punished, and my behavior works well in that environment, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to, if you invest money, you're going to say, I want the paint color to be this, or I want the floors to be that. And that conversation, I don't want to have ever. And he says, I don't think you understand. I'll invest the money and I want no involvement. I said, okay, here's my terms. I take 50% of the profit. Mm-hmm. I take zero risk. If you shut it down and we have a loss, you eat it all. Mm-hmm. As long as you're willing to do another one, if we lose money, we'll make it back on the next one. Like I'm willing to earn it out, but I can't control if you shut it down. So we start with about $400,000, simple operating agreement, no fund, just an operating agreement. Wires me the 400. So we do a deal and we make 50, and here's your 25, and here's mine. And do you want to do it again? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that goes for a little bit, and he goes, hey, check your account. Wires in another 400. About 9 days later, check your account. So it was probably $4 or $5 million mm-hmm. that we were flipping with for a while, and it was awesome. I mean, I made him millions, I made millions. Yeah. And then one day I called him and I said, hey, dude, check your account. He said, looks like all of the money came back. I said, yeah, I'm going to self-fund now. I mean, I have the resources. And so I helped him place it in hard money for a little bit, and still a friend to this day. But that was my lift, was I had an opportunity and a great partner that trusted me and didn't force me to follow his way or wasn't overly involved. Mm-hmm. And, it was a beautiful partnership for both of us.
Yeah. And I love that you shared this, because this is something, again, like we've talked about on the show. Like there are guys that are, wholesaling that need to transition, flipping, whatever, especially right now, wholesaling getting kind of interesting. A 50-50 partner is a great place to start, right? And then you can eventually, shift it to 70-30, 80-20, whatever. But a 50-50 is a great place to start when you have no money and you need to start taking properties down.
Even if you have some money, it's not a bad deal, right? There's something, look, I didn't have juice being paid every month, right? Mm-hmm. Like, some people are, leveraging hard money. I lend hard money. I've got my banker's license. But that 50-50 partnership, I didn't have a check due every month. I didn't have to pay $20,000 in interest this month or whatever it was. Mm-hmm. Now I paid 50% of the profit, which could have been more than that.
Sure.
But my mindset, though, I didn't have pressure.
Yeah.
Right. I was able to do great work. And so our goal, because when you're managing capital, you get really clear that like timelines matter. Mm-hmm. Right. If I can be money in, money out in 90 days,
right, I
could turn the capital 4 times per year. If I can do it 120 days, only turn it 3 times. Well, it's radically different outcomes. And so we got really good at figuring out if we could make 25% on the asset in 90 days, it's 100% annualized returns.
Yeah.
I mean, where can you go on something right? You can largely control. I mean, it's insane. Like the opportunity that we all have in real estate, we get it, right? Like the fact that we can take a sheet of paper and sell it to someone and turn it into $30,000 or $50,000 is unbelievable. Like it's a wild, and people are like, oh, it's only 30. I'm like, are you crazy? I mean, I was literally throwing bean bags onto a truck for 12 hours a day. That's hard work.
Yeah.
Calling people with a headset on is not that hard. It's just not.
Yeah. And again, like that 50-50, like that's the way I started. Right. And I remember there was never any pressure, right? Because like there was no monthly nut that had to cover. There was no 1% every single month or whatever the terms you get with your hard money, private money people. The fact that it wasn't that I was like taking it easy, but I was controlling the timelines. I could decide what we were going to do. I never had to like drop the price drastically because I had to pay somebody. You can operate and negotiate very differently without that pressure on your back. So yeah, that's huge. And then another thing too I wanted to touch on was like in coming to your event, again, I think it was like around 2009, was they gave me this red book, which I've said this before and I still stand by it. The single greatest lead magnet of all time, the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. I don't know how many millions or billions is created for Gary Keller, but the most brilliant lead magnet. You talk about marketing, right? Like, you see these guys with like free plus shipping, or he's like, click this link. Even we do, right? Like text 33777, right? To get this thing. But that red book, it's got to be the greatest lead magnet of all time.
No doubt, right? That was, but true genius to Gary Keller. I mean, I don't know that there's been someone that's done more for our industry than him. I'm biased. He's my fan. I tell you, he's my personal coach. We become extremely close. I mean, we text all the time. But that was his, back then, he's like, I want to do something for the industry. I want to analyze the data and actually put together like the model of everyone. So does it work perfect? No, it was never designed to do that, because you were taking all the top agents in the country and trying to build an economic model and a playbook.
Yeah.
But the idea there was genius. Number one, write something that everyone wants, then have team leaders give that away to have a different conversation, right? Because when you're recruiting people to your world, the easiest thing is education.
Yeah.
Right. Like I always say, I don't sell anything. I teach, I train, right? Today I spend my day as a teacher. I talk to real estate agents, real estate investors, and my coaching clients about how to improve their lives through money and get what they actually want.
Yeah.
That's how I spend my days. And that's really who Gary is as a teacher. So all that book you saw came out of him teaching and putting people in the room. I mean, and that was all brands. I mean, if you look at like Russell Shaw, who another mentor of mine who I know that, you've spent a lot of time with Russ. But Russ was a huge contributor to that book. So it wasn't just Keller Williams people reflected in that book. I mean, it was, think about back then. I mean, think about today to take all the top people from all industries and consolidate that under a book. Like that would never happen today.
No.
But I mean, an incredible, and The Millionaire Real Estate Investor, another just incredible book to help understand money. I mean.
And I still remember the biggest thing I took away from that book was, again, in 2008, 2009, whenever when I picked it up, the idea that you can get to 7th level, right? You can have buyer's agents, showing agents, transaction coordinators, everyone doing all the work. And all you had to do was just kind of oversee. And at some point, you don't even have to oversee. You just have one person who oversees, and that person just reports to you.
Yeah.
That was never an idea, a concept in my mind, because I was still a hustler, right? Like I was still making my websites, calling the buyers, calling the sellers. At that time, there was no Lister Pros or Lister Assister, right? Putting lock boxes on properties. I still have, I think if a realtor understood what it was like to deal with like pliers and signs on a windy day, right?
Yeah.
Or even like the worst, I would say the absolute worst, I would say probably the lowest point was selling a condo for $30,000, right? Because the commission on $30,000 is not very much. But for it to close, I had to install a mailbox lock, so the buyer would be willing to sign on closing day, right? Like, I'm about things we had to do. 7th level was so far.
Yeah, that's a million miles from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. That was the biggest eye opener for me from that book.
Well, so you talk about like the changes in the industry. Like, I mean, you talk about how hard it was. I was selling REOs for in Maryville Those homes in Maryville Terrace were sold as commodities, right? They were $25,000. Didn't matter. It was 1,200 square feet, 1,800. It's 25 grand, right? People are stealing the copper. You remember that era? I will say this, when DocuSign came out, that was the biggest game changer in my real estate career, because you're always missing one. You remember the days you're missing one signature, right? You're missing just one.
Yeah.
So now you're driving. How many times did you drive across town to get a signature so you could get a check?
Way more than I want to.
Yeah, I mean, I did it constantly because I wasn't that good of a realtor. I was really good at getting a good deal for my client. I was good at representing them. I wasn't perfect with missing, like, the buyer, I'm missing a signature on page 6 of the of like some advisory that's irrelevant.
Right.
So I would drive across town. I mean, today I couldn't even imagine, right, even considering that as an idea, but you got to do, but I think what's important for people to listen to and hear is that you got to do what you got to do.
Right.
Like you and I were hustlers who figured out how to scale businesses. And I don't know about you. I learned that hustle doesn't scale.
No,
it just doesn't. There's only so many hours and you can only run so hard. And the more, I think all my white hair that I have now came from driving across town to do something that I was wondering the whole time, what am I doing?
Yeah. What was the lowest priced property you sold?
It's got to be I would say somewhere around that. Well, luckily the banks, when you work for Fannie Mae, Bank of America, they have $1,000 commission minimum.
Yeah, I remember those.
So I had many properties that would never come close to the minimum at 3%.
Yeah.
So I would probably around 17,000, $20,000.
I had, because I remember there was one on Thomas. It was a condo for 10.5, double-ended that one, so I got 2,000. Right.
Boom. Nice.
And then there were 3 in off of Rozier and 10th, right? There were 3 of them, and all sold between 20 and 25,000, and every single one missing copper, right? Like you walk in, you see like all the insulation. You walk in, and all the insulation's on the ground. You know exactly what happened. So.
I have 2 funny stories there. So back then, the lowest price I sold was 17. I bought a house for 10,000. Okay, in Phoenix, down by the stadium downtown. Now it looks more like, I'd call it more of a woodshed than a house, but it's habitable. People are living there. So I bought it for 10 grand, and I told my wife, I said, you know what I want to do? I want to try to create a payment stream out of nothing. It's like, what do you mean? I was like, I want to seller finance this thing. I was on the side because I've been an entrepreneur. I'm flipping storage units. So the book thing goes on. I start buying storage units and flipping the contents. And I come across a Carlton Sheets training. Carlton, no money down, real estate, all that. But a lot of it was based on seller financing. And so I thought, what if I bought this house for $10,000? It was a great deal, off market. What if I put it on the MLS and sold it for $30,000 and took $10,000 as a down payment? My goal is to be out $0, and I just want to see if I can create a payment stream that lasts 5 or 6 years. Like, what would that look like? So I do it, and I'm getting $500 or $600 a month on air, right? I mean, I have no money, and that's when like I realized this whole idea of the banks are the greatest businesses on earth.
Yeah.
One of my favorite books of all time, The Banker's Code, George Anton. I read that book, and ironically now I hire him to come speak to my audience. It's so cool to see like your idols in these books. Yeah, you get to go back and show guys, this is something transformative that I read. But that really changed how I thought about money, which was, there's 2 ways to do it. There's owning the asset, and there's lending money to others. And so that led me to go on and get my banking license and be a lender and done over $100+ million in loans and all that stuff. But it all started with I was figuring it out. I think back in you can only connect those dots looking backwards. The old Steve Jobs quote. I was just figuring stuff out. I was really like, well, okay, how could I have no money in the deal? Yeah. How could I think differently about this? What's everyone saying? Okay, I don't want to do that. How can I be just different in my approach?
Yeah. Well, so Eddie Speed's been on here twice.
Yeah, right? I know Eddie. Eddie and I are really good buddies.
Yeah, and he always says like he always brings you like the best person to ever come to my program, like the most successful, the one that does what you're supposed to do is Brett.
Oh, very kind.
Right?
He's a great dude.
Yeah, so it makes sense, like because I can see right here the way your brain even works around money. Like you're flipping books and then flipping lock boxes. Like it makes sense. Like you're so tuned in on the way money works, like the very nature of money. You just have a different perception of it. So maybe this is a good transition to talk about the difference between being rich and being wealthy.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question, right? I think we see today, and you go online, it doesn't take you very long to scroll and realize, I know that person. I know what's going on in their life privately, and the story I'm getting online isn't real, right?
Yeah.
I got
Slight mismatch.
Slight mismatch, right?
Yeah.
And so like, sometimes when I tell people things, it's like, man, I feel like I'm a truth teller in a fake world. You know what I mean? It's just, it's all like get rich quick, take unlimited risk, leverage the leverage of the leverage. I'm like, that's just not how it works. That's how you get crushed. And so rich is you can buy it. Wealthy is maybe you don't even need it, but it's irrelevant if you do. It's kind of how I think about it. Rich is just I can afford the payments. Wealthy is I don't have the payments.
Yeah.
And my definition of wealth is whatever your true purpose is. But that whole idea, if your passive income exceeds your expenses, you can go forever. Yeah. And we achieved that in my life quite a while back. And so then you play a different game, right? The stress isn't there. But there's this whole myth. I think rich is shiny, glittery, loud, and wealth's all the stuff you don't see.
It's
peace of mind.
It's the guy that's quiet, has nothing to prove. Doesn't need to prove anything to anybody, right? It's the guy that shows up in like flip-flops and shorts and buying whatever he wants, really, in the store. It's for me then, and the distinction is kind of like poor and broke, right? One is a measurement and one's a state of mind.
Totally.
Yeah.
There's this example they say, like, you take a piggy bank, right? Imagine like the piggy banks we had as kids. You shove 2 nickels in it and you shake it, right? Loud. Okay. You fill that thing entirely where there's not one more coin can go in, you shake it. Doesn't make that much noise.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between rich and wealthy, right? It's a loud piggy bank shaking, rattling.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are just the loudest. There might be a reason why.
Man, there's something really profound in that image. You come up with that?
I heard it somewhere else.
Yeah, it's very, very profound. So, all right, so you're doing really well on the realtor world, right? We're talking about this like around 2011 and 12 and so on.
Yeah.
And then where do you go from there?
So I had a buddy here locally, worked at Title, and he got promoted. You'd know him, Steve Laviaga.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so Fidelity Title. He was one of my really good friends. And at that time, he got promoted to this national sales manager role. And he's like, hey, would you do some speaking?
Yes.
So you caught me there when I was just a nervous speaker because I'd never done a class or, I know the technical, I just am not a trained speaker. And I've never done public speaking training. I just have got very comfortable being who I am. And so it's different today. Right. So I'd done some classes for him and said, hey, would you come do some speaking on the road? I'm like, what does that even mean? I don't really want to go. And he's like, it would be a favor to me. It would help me. I said, sure, I'll do anything with my friends. So I go out to San Diego and he's like, it's a little presentation. It's no big deal, whatever. I show up to this building and it's like the Scottish Rite Center or whatever it's called out there. There's 600 people in the crowd. And I walk in, I go, what are they doing? What are they here for? Like, are they here for the other thing? And he's like, no, this is your presentation. I go, bro, you got to get better at communicating. Like, this is stressful. So I go up there. I mean, I have a presentation, but it's not worthy of 600 people. So I give that presentation, it goes well. And it's just teaching agents how to be better agents. So things I'm thinking about, things we were doing in our business. And at the end, this is kind of where I found coaching was a guy walked up to me and says, I want you to be my coach. And I said, absolutely not. No, thank you. And he's like, I don't think you understand. I'll pay you anything. So what is your problem? Like, what's the problem you actually need to solve? And he had a really specific problem. And I said, well, I can solve that. And this is what it would charge. And so we agreed and I fixed it and it made this massive impact in his life. And I got to watch that. I was like, well, that was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Right. The money was cool, but that wasn't what drove it. It was the money had to just compensate me for my time that I could have, the opportunity cost I could have done something else with. But watching him, like, as a result of that, double the business. So, at that moment, I kind of entertained some private clients and I've been a coach ever since. That's really from 2011 or 12 to now. I've had a handful of private coaching clients. At one point, 3 years ago, I looked in the top 10 realtors in the country. I was coaching 4 of them.
That's huge.
Pretty cool, right? Yeah. Not really on growing their sales business. There were things of scale, but more on the money side, right? So you've got these resources. How are you thinking about money? What are you doing? Because there's a whole language of the wealthy. Yeah. And so that was that moment, 2011. I realized like the coaching was cool. There was other impacts there. And that was kind of the time where we started looking at, okay, we're successful. We've got money. I've got my wealth plan figured out. I went back and revisited all of my failures prior. Why did the homes that I have to short sell some homes in 2008? I had to really figure that out. Like, what was my thesis or what was my idea around buying real estate? And what were What were my cash on cash returns? What were my debt loads? And what should they have been? And I kind of went back through my portfolio and kind of just I got the opportunity to be non-emotional. Like that property would have worked great. That would have worked great. Well, this was stupid.
Yeah.
But these got hit because of these other things. And so I really came up with a better model that involved much less risk, much larger down payments, incredibly deep reserves, all the things that intelligent business people do.
Yeah.
And so I started going after rentals, and I was like, I'm going to buy 1,000 single family rentals and I'm going to win the game. I mean, that's my path. I sell homes. The bigger this business gets, the more access I get, the bigger my investment company gets, the more I can buy. And so I get on that journey of just buying lots and lots of homes.
You ever get to that 1,000?
No, I got to 125-ish. And I realized I did not want to have 1,000, okay? Because single family homes, while awesome,
yes,
a lot changed post-COVID. So I'll kind of give a little story in between there. So I'm on my journey to the 1,000. And I don't know if you're familiar with Boardroom, Kent Clothier.
Of course.
Great. I mean, Kent's the coolest dude ever. He's one of my really good friends. So I would go do some of their training there, and I would just speak on stage talking to his audience because Kent wanted me to, and I love Kent. So I give this presentation, and I'm down in the hot tub after his event, and this husband and wife are there. They're like, hey, thanks for your talk today. Super impactful, whatever. And I'm like, give me your story. And they said, we're just moving back from Greenville in the Carolinas back to San Diego. BMW went in there, and I bought all the homes around the factory. The factory was announced. They're going to put BMW in there. The jobs are going to pay X, a certain amount of jobs. And he goes, I just figured out what the job was going to pay. Based on that, I ran the debt to income ratios. I figured out what houses those people were going to buy. Demand's about to skyrocket. I'll just buy all the homes. Factory goes in, homes will double. I sold them all. I was like, well, how'd it work out? And he's like, I made $16 million.
Yeah.
And I go, dude, we got to stop for a minute. Like, server, we're going to need, just keep the drinks coming. I go, I have 1,000 questions for you.
Yeah.
So I go into the model, like what made it work. And I'm just 1,000 questions. What are the 5 markets you're looking at next year? So he's got Racine, Wisconsin, Foxconn that makes the Apple batteries was going in there. Huntsville, Alabama was Mazda, Toyota. So I'm like, all right, Huntsville's my game. And I learned that you have to wait till the pads go in because Foxconn bailed. They made the announcement. They didn't actually build it. So some of these huge companies can announce Amazon's going over here. Well, you want to wait till they put the actual pads in. So I see that I fly out to Huntsville. Pads are going in. I do the same thing. Like I apply for a job to be, at Mazda. And I'm like, okay, this is what it's going to pay. So I drive the neighborhoods and I'm like, then you're just using your realtor experience. Like, well, I wouldn't live there if I could live there. That's the neighborhood. So I bought 45 homes and hoping that they would double. And this is like 2018. COVID hits, all the things go right. They move the Space Command there. What I didn't know about jobs back then is you announce, let's say Mazda says we're going to bring in 5,000 jobs. Every parts supplier now comes in.
Right.
All your competitors come in because they want to take your talent. So the 5,000 jobs, it's more like 25,000. So if there's a huge announcement and it goes, it's really meaningful in a smaller market. So the homes didn't double; they like 3 to 4x.
Wow.
And to this day, that guy, I saw him 5 years later. I was like, dude, did you make the Huntsville trade? I did it. And he's like, no. I'm like, bro, that hot tub changed my life. So I never got to the answer, long-winded answer. I never got to the 1,000. I got to about 125. And I realized that single family rentals are hard to manage at scale, especially in multiple markets.
Yeah.
At some point, you've got property managers, you've got managers on your team managing the managers of the management. And it kind of reduces there's not a lot of juice left over.
No, there's not. Well, that's the reason why I was asking. Cause when someone says I want to have 1,000 properties, or not even 1,000, like a couple hundred properties, like there's information that you learn along the way that generally changes that perspective. And so one is just like everything else, right? It doesn't scale as profitably. You hit diminishing returns. But the other thing too is like you got tremendous opportunities. You got these relationships, right? You talked about Kent Clothier, you're talking about Gary Keller. Like you're in the right rooms, you're having the right conversations. The opportunities to come across your desk just in sitting in a hot tub is different than what most people run into. The other thing I want to hit on too is the fulfillment part. I share, because I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, right?
No.
It's like, hey, this is not going to be like, this W2 thing's not for me. I'm going to do my own thing. But when I started my brokerage, right, Stunning Homes Realty, when I started it, it was purely out of greed. It had nothing to do with helping people, like helping like homeowners, helping buyers and sellers, but it had nothing to do with like helping realtors.
Yeah.
Right. It was just like, I'm going to build a team, kind of like what Curtis Johnson did, right? I'm just going to build my team and like everyone leave me alone.
Yeah.
I don't have that broker I have to run advertising through. I don't have to worry about splits, none of that stuff. But I had realtors coming along like, hey, like, I like what you're doing. Can I be your brokerage, blah, blah, blah. And every time I helped a realtor go from making $30,000 to $300,000, like, that's freaking cool. I can do that over and over again. Now, what I realized that you actually can't, because that doesn't scale. Running a brokerage doesn't scale. But the emotional deposits of watching someone 10x their annual income over and over again. You can't the feeling nowhere near matches the financial deposits.
Isn't it so cool? I think there's 3 levels of understanding the way I think about it, which is, one is early in your career when you're trying to find your first success.
Yeah.
You're just trying to prove to yourself that you can do it, right? Can my hustle equal an outcome? The second level of that journey is you're proving it to other people. Right? Look how great I am. It wouldn't have been in 2005 or 6 or 7, if you found me, it wouldn't have been taking you very long to figure out I was going to tell you how great I was, right? I mean, I spent a lot of time for fake awards and, even that award, like the high point of my career was winning that award with our company, 3 in the firm, 9 in the country. That was the high point. The low point was 60 seconds later, realizing that's it.
Yeah.
I'm 9 and no one cares. No one. Years later, I had all these awards in a box, and my son, I gave him, he's wearing them around, and the lawnmower hit one, and he's like, Dad, what did you do to get that? I was like, I was one of the top real estate agents in the entire country, and it's meaningless to me. And the third level, right, of this game is you spend your time helping others believe it's possible for them. And I think that's where you and I sit today, is just how can we, because that spark to me, we're not doing it for free, but I could do a lot of other things I do outside of my training business to make more money. But the impact that you get to see when someone's life, to go from 30 to 300 in your example, what that does to their family, their opportunities, their experiences, because that's the good stuff in life, is doing epic things with people you care about. I mean, that's the good stuff.
And it's funny you talk about like the Boxer Awards, because like I've been in multiple real estate masterminds. And then you were in these rooms, because you kind of talk about truth teller in a fake world. It's like they've got all these awards. They got all these plaques. Man, like, you're supposed to be vulnerable in these masterminds, which is good, but it's like the disconnect from the award in front of some nice banner, whatever you call
and
that.
The claps.
Yeah. Versus like, I don't know if I'm going to make payroll next month. Right? It's like, how?
Isn't it wild to watch? Someone's doing $5 million in commissions, and they're about to go broke.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, it's ego, right? It's all ego driven. That's the wildest thing to watch. And I think that was another aha I had. I was in the mastermind here locally with all the names. You would know every single one of them. And when I'm in one of those masterminds, the question I always look around the room and I go, whose life in here do I want? Yeah. Whose life? But and my definition is a little different. I want the success, but I want the success in all things. Like if you traded your marriage for all the success in the world, there's no judgment in that comment. That's different to me because you traded something. I want the person who's got the greatest marriage ever. I want the person that's kids love them. I want the person who's got the business success. I want they're helping other people. They're like all of those things. And as you go down this journey, I think that's why I'm so passionate about Gary and the relationship I have with him. He's the real deal. And I was always worried, they say, don't meet your mentor, don't get too close, because you find out, I wish I wouldn't have saw that. I've been to Disneyland with Gary and his family. I've done all, if my phone ever got exposed, I got a picture of me and him in the Matterhorn, I'm like, this is amazing. And he's better privately than his public. He's that good. Like this guy just does good for humans. And it's the coolest thing to see. He's now a multi-billionaire and is so giving of his time, his effort, and that's all he wants to do is help people. Like he's like, it's a calling to him. I think it's just so cool to see that you've just got you've got someone who's quiet about the wealth. Again, back to the shaking the piggy bank, right? Here's a guy with totally quiet online, has all the money in the world, just doing good. And then you got the people that are fake rich, in those rooms. And it's just so you realize it's not, actually income doesn't determine wealth.
Yeah.
Not entirely.
No, it definitely does not. And another thing you talked about, I know we kind of touched on it, but like the language of the wealthy. You mentioned what's the language of the wealthy? there anything you want to?
Yeah, I think that, so I think about a couple things, right? So you've got two ways you think about money. You go work for money, right? Everyone listening to this, they got a day job. They do something that creates cash. Ideally, they have their investments that also create cash, passive income, hopefully. So that comes in and you've got additional capital. Now you've got a decision to make. I could spend it, I could donate it, I could save it, I could invest it. Yeah. And then I think getting really clear on is every dollar comes into your life. Are you monetizing the dollar in real time? Super easy example would be, I make a deposit for my business today. Instantly that money, there's a sweep account in my bank. It takes those dollars from my business account and automatically sweeps it over. And today I'm making like 3.4%. Not a crazy, but it's on the dollar that got deposited today, right? That all gets swept up to a holding company. And at that level, I'm looking to deploy that money into one of two things. Stuff I own, I lend money to others. And so I think there's just language that gets lost that, number one, what do I do with money? But before all of that, the exercise I walk people through is just, Steve, at the end of your days, if we project out 30 years from today, let's find out what your ideal life is. And I walk them through an exercise. Think of it like a movie. You wake up in the morning. Is it your same home? Is it the mountain breeze? Is it the beach? Do you have a second home? Did you send your kids to college? What kind? What charitable causes do you care about? And really figure out this life and get like a movie. Now let's figure out what it costs. Okay, 30 years. Now run it back to today. And the biggest thing I did for my net worth and talking about the connectivity of money was going 30 years out. How can I tell if I'm on or off track? And I found that folks don't miss goals because they didn't have great goals. They wrote them all down and they didn't have a check-in point. And then they got to the end of the year and went, oh, I missed the goal. Like, if I'm going to lose weight, I got to look at, my calorie intake and how much I move, right? It's not very hard to figure out the formula. But if I don't ever step on the scale and check in, how will I know that the things I'm doing are working? Right. And so I plotted what I wanted my net worth to be, picked the biggest number I could think about. And then I worked backwards. Well, where do I need to be next month to be on track for January of 2026, to be on track for January of 2055 to get what I wanted? And as soon as I did that, right, the competitor comes out because you're like, well, 30 years, what if I do it in 10? So how far can I get ahead? And so I created this check-in point. And so now I took an external game that was money and FOMO and all that, and you make it an internal game of just, it's not, I can win and they can win. We're not competing against each other. Right. And so for me, that connectivity, the wealthy, they've got a scoreboard that's clear. They know the exact life they want. They know the outcome, and they've got different check-in points. Then as you look at that, or what are the vehicles and what are the assets I'm going to stack inside of that make the most sense from, in all the base level, right? There's levels to this game.
Of course.
But I think for people to figure out what they want, the biggest mistake out there that I see folks today, they have no idea what they want and they're unhappy with what they have. And that's my personal definition of hell. Just, I don't know what I want. I'm unhappy with what I got. Well, no decision you make is going to matter until you figure that out.
I want to talk about that in a moment. Before we do that,
okay.
Guys, big thanks to our sponsor, Beck CFO. Most business owners see taxes as their biggest expense, and for real estate entrepreneurs, it's usually 6 figures or more. Beck CFO helps clients cut their tax bill, keep more of their profits, and scale with confidence. You want a proactive plan instead of just filling out paperwork. Visit beckcfo.com, beccfo.com, and connect with my tax guys over at Beck CFO today. So what you just talked about there is, I think, one of the most, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not talked about a lot, but it is one of the greatest inhibitors to success. Not knowing what they want, and then not having a plan. So I think a lot of, we get to a point of, approaching significance where we have more clarity. Here's what we want to do. But, like early majority of my career, I operated with just hustle. I'm going to grind my way through, and I'm just going to outwork the other guy, right? But I didn't know like where I wanted to be. And without knowing where I wanted to go, it was, what was it? It doesn't matter how fast you're going if you don't know where you're going.
Yeah, right? So true.
So how do you help someone, like someone listening right now, kind of put that into frame, put it into perspective? If you're a real estate investor with a sales team and you're stuck babysitting reps instead of growing your business, this is for you. Right now, your reps are burning through your expensive leads like they're practice dummies. They're making costly mistakes you won't catch for weeks, and 70% of your potential revenue is walking to competitors because of inconsistent follow-up. That's why over 130 operators are now using objectionproof.ai to automatically review every single call within minutes, train reps with AI roleplay sessions, and never miss another follow-up. Stop watching your competitors pull ahead while you're trapped doing manager work. Click the link in the description and book a call with my team to see how we can help you install a self-managing sales team this week.
So usually I'll ask someone, give me, a coaching client, give me the granularly what the life's like. And sometimes they'll say, like, to your point, I don't know. Great. Let's go the opposite way. What do you not want? And you will find that when you ask them what they don't want, everyone knows exactly what they don't want.
Yeah.
Right? If you hear a realtor, I don't want to be in a living room at 70 years old taking a listing. Okay, great. That's going to be, we're going to have some leadership then. Okay, let's put that on. So pretty quickly we're going to get, well, do you want to live in your current home? Well, no. Okay. Do you not want to have a second home? No, I do want a second home. Okay, well, where is it, right? So pretty quickly you can go, what do I not want? I could tell you that I did not want to be in a living room at 70. I wanted to have passive income. I knew the exact second home I wanted. I had pictures of it. It's up in Pine Top, and I was driving there, and I started dating my wife in 2000. So we've been married for 20 years, together for 25, and I could tell you that our relationship's better today than it was 25 years ago. Yeah. Like, we go out with friends of ours and you hear them complain about their wives. I'm sure you've heard people go, oh, you know how it is. And I go, I actually don't, man. My wife's my best friend. I'm more madly in love with her today than I was 25 years ago. And so in the year 2000, we're driving up there and there's this home on the golf course, gate, one home, gate, 7 lots. I was like, honey, who has enough money, because we're 20 years old, they have their own gate on their own for one house. Like, this is just mind-bending to me. And you fast forward 25 years later, I'm that guy, right? I own that home. But it's putting it out there. Like, I saw that and I was like, I want that. I had no clue how it would occur. The guy went to prison for embezzling cigarette sales online, like craziest story ever. Like the baseball player Maddox, was his brother. It's a crazy story. But I went through and got that asset. And like, it's I'm so passionate about, my family's so passionate about me. It's got life insurance around it, so it will live forever. It's designed for the generations of the Tanners will be in that property through the end of time. And there's tools to do that, right? Simple life insurance policy on me. Something happens to me, boom, that trust is funded indefinitely. The returns that the money will generate will pay all the expenses and allow them to build other cabins or whatever. Yeah. But like, that's an example of a tool of the wealthy that just thinking differently. But having that vision, I knew what I wanted. Yeah. I knew what I wanted in my relationship. I knew what I wanted in my relationship with my kids. And I think it was just asking those questions. Like, what do I not like? I didn't want that attorney's lifestyle. I realized that just because I had a lot of money or I was a successful realtor, that wouldn't make me wealthy. Yeah. Because the most successful agents actually weren't the wealthiest. Crazy to see, right? The $3 million in commission. So I think Warren Buffett talks about this internal and external scorecard. Yeah. And, when I talk to my kids, I was like, let me ask you a question. If everyone in your school thinks you're the greatest, is that true? They're like, well, no. All right. If they all think you're awful, is that true? Well, no. Then what matters? Actually matter what you think. Like your internal scorecard. Are you a good person? Are you doing the right things? Those are the things that matter. Yeah. And when you quit playing for the applause and you just play for being a good person and creating outcomes for the people that you truly love, the game becomes totally different. It's a totally different game.
Oh, no, that's powerful. Very powerful. And you talk about the things you don't want. I did tell all my colleagues, not really with me anymore, but, back at the old brokerage, what I said was, if you ever find me at a continuing education class of 65, you have full permission to just take me out back and just shoot me. Oh, just shoot me. Because I'm clearly miserable, right? I did not figure it out. I failed.
Totally. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. So a couple of things I've seen you write down or talk about: turning stress into strategy, scarcity and sovereignty. What does that mean?
I would say this. I think people are, when you're in a stressful situation, okay, and you're stressed and maybe it's money pressure or it's family pressure, whatever it's caused. Let's use money pressure. I think people are looking at things as like one way to solve the problem, right? Like, I've got to go, I'm a realtor, I'm a wholesaler, I'm going to get another commission, I'm going to get another deal, right? Instead of taking a step back and going, there's 1,000 options here. Right? When people bring me a problem, like, well, you've got one option. I love it. Why don't we come up with 40 options, even dumb? Like, we're gonna come up with some dumb ideas. But then let's really think about it differently. So, I think breakthroughs come from different strategy, different approach. I'll give you an example. So, we're doing lots of wholesale, we do flipping, but what's the untapped opportunity in your market? So for a long time here, I flip mobiles homes over the entire state of Arizona. Okay. And people go, oh, mobile's gross, disgusting, don't do it. And I'm like, yeah, keep saying that. And everyone like, let's not have anyone do it. And I make a couple $1 million a year doing this. Yeah. And no one wants to do it because it's gross. And by the way, it's not any gross or anything. I mean, it's not gross. Actually, the new ones, I joke, like now we buy land. I have a dealer license and I put them on there and we play that game too. These kitchens, like I have a really nice home. Like if I showed you the mobile home kitchen on some of these new ones, like they're incredibly nice out. Like
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. It's nicer than my kitchen, and my home's multiple millions of dollars. It's wild to watch. And so that's just an example of like people are saying this is gross, or I don't know what it is in every market in the country, but you go to them, like I told you this deal, I'm closing this relatively large deal. It's just looking for opportunities that others aren't seeing. Yeah. So I think when if you're in a stressful situation, you're lacking a strategy, you're lacking a relationship. Like I'll say that, like a relationship, it could be a peer that's on the same journey as you, that you're kind of quote coaching each other as peers. Yeah. Hey Steve, what are you going to do this week? What am I going to do? We're going to meet up next week. And whoever doesn't have their action items done buys dinner, right? That's just a pure coaching relationship that costs nothing. Two people on the same journey. Then it could be coaching in your program or reaching out to a coach or whatever. Like find the person who's already been there and done that, because what they can do is compress your time. If I had to go figure all these things out, it would have taken me 9 lifetimes to probably do some of the things I've done. Instead, I can go to really smart people. I've got really good friends that I built relationships with by being in the right rooms. Kent's a friend, Gary's a friend. But when you take a problem to a billionaire, it's crazy the answer. Because I'm saying it's got to be this. He's like, okay, well, no, it's not. Yeah. There's and it's the most eloquent, simple answer. It's genius. So I just think people realize more options you have. You could be anywhere in 5 years, right? Absolutely. Like I got licensed in 2005, almost left the industry in 2008. 2011, I'm the number 9 agent in the country. I would have never predicted that. Yeah. But you got to put yourself in there and do the work. And so I think stress comes from just stress and burnout. Burnout comes from a different place. Everybody, like the word burnout, I don't actually know what that means. Because I'm burnout. Burnout's different. Burnout is actually just you're putting in so much work and the result you're getting doesn't equal the effort you're putting in. That's all burnout is. Because someone ever come to my team member will go, oh, I'm just burnt out. I go, can I ask you one question? If your results were 10 times what they are today, are you burnt out? Right? Like if they made 10 grand last month, if you made 100 grand last month, where are we at on burnout? They go, I'm not burnt out at all. Well, so burnout's not real. Yeah. It's you're putting in the effort, you're not achieving the results. So that's a strategy or person problem. Yeah. I think just getting clear on that matters.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. One of the things we were talking about before the show is you're working on the biggest deal in your career.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you've done a lot of really cool things. That's a pretty big statement.
And two simultaneously that are the two biggest deals, 1 and 2. But so I'm looking for weird opportunity, right? As we're recording this, it's the end of 2025 and the world's starting to crack a little, right? Out there. No one's talking about it. You dig into what's going on and what's going to drive this next default. We can go to talk about that in a minute. I've got my theories. Sure. So I'm looking at just things are different. I see it as a lender, right? Where pain shows up to me, you lend tens of millions of dollars to people. When they don't start paying, I'm the first, people are 30 days late and they're 60 days late. It's like, okay, well.
You get real-time data.
I get real, like I can tell you how many people are 30 days late today versus 2 years ago. Yeah. Totally different numbers. And so this deal is actually a timeshare. So you think about the timeshare world, right? Like timeshares are kind of a little, you're in my generation, a little older, but we're popular, but really our parents, right? That was that thing. But if you go to someone in their 30s today who inherits a timeshare, they go, ugh, well, I don't want this thing. Like my dad loved going to Myrtle Beach or whatever, but it's not my thing. So this timeshare was a 50-year timeshare. It's at the end of its 50 years, started in 1975. It's up in northern Arizona, and it's the end of it. So it goes
end of it, as in like everyone that owns a timeshare, everyone's out.
All 6,000 of them, that bought all the little increments of time. All of them said they signed a document. We're going to sell this thing. So you got to wind it down.
I didn't know that was a thing.
I didn't either. So now it's over. And so now what do you do with it? So you've got a resort, right? I've got an indoor pool. I've got indoor pickleball. I got racquetball. I mean, it's 60,000 square feet of buildings and apartments and stuff. But so all these units have kitchens. So I looked at it, there's a workforce housing play. I'm a member of a couple country clubs up there. So my club needs some rooms. The other club needs some rooms. Local housing needs rooms. All this came out later as I'm in it. So it's an auction. This was on an auction platform online, Crexy. So you go on there and there's this auction. And so you have to do all of your due diligence in advance.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to spend the money doing the due diligence before you make your offer.
Before you make a bid, which is kind of like the time and the money commitment is kind of annoying.
It's substantial.
I spent over 100 hours personally on this to not get it at the auction.
Yeah.
So my wife's like, how are you taking that? I was like, am I frustrated? When was the last time you burned 100 hours on something that went nowhere? Yeah, super frustrated. So it gets bid up to $6.5 million. I'm blown away by that because I've ran every economic scenario on earth and there's no economics that support the $6.5 million purchase price. So I reach out, told the agents, there's no way this person will close. It's impossible.
Yeah.
30 days later, stop traffic. He doesn't close. So they come back and they said, we'd love to take 5.5. That's awesome. That doesn't work either. I'm a math guy, right? So we have performance built. I'm just telling you it doesn't work. The number is 4. 30 days later, they go, Mr. Tanner, we'd love to take your 4.
Yeah.
So as it sits today, in theory, I close tomorrow. Now, there's some few things they have to do on their end to provide clear title, but shutting down the timeshare, it's like infinitely complicated. But it's really on their side. So barring that happens, I will drive up there Friday and get in the lobby of a resort and I'm in the resort business and get to see what happens, day one and have a learning experience.
What's the vision of that?
So we're going to, again, I actually come into this where I don't know the right answer. So I'm going to do everything. So we create a marketing plan. There's like 57 sites you can place an apartment unit online, workforce housing, furnish finder. Can we get traveling nurses? Can we get corporate like all that stuff? We'll do some long-term and then we're going to run, we're going to do some short-term and we're going to see, what performs the best, right?
Are these like effectively condos?
I would say like you got everything from a studio to a 1-bedroom to a 2-bedroom, but they're condos. I mean, you've got everything you need in the condo.
Yeah, so these would be like short-term rentals, midterm rentals kind of deal.
Totally. And it might be long-term. I don't know. Yeah. Historically, I've been the most outspoken Airbnb person ever. And it's not because I'm anti-Airbnb. I'm just pro-math. Which I see people, I'm like, the only reason your Airbnb works is because you value your time at nothing.
Yeah.
If you put your time back in at $35 or $40 an hour all the time they spend on it, there's no returns. So if you're creating a job through that, super cool, but it won't scale and grow.
It's like buying a 7-Eleven.
I mean, it doesn't work if you're doing it.
Yeah.
And so, so we'll do that. And then the last part of it became interesting is there's a $650 million hospital going in not far away. And my assistant GM, who we're retaining, her husband's working on that project. He said, I could likely get you the government contract to provide the housing. Now this isn't that we didn't underwrite this. Yeah. If that happens, that's game over. It'll be the greatest investment I've ever had.
Yeah.
But I think like within a year, I should be able to move this to like a 14 to 15% cap rate off my purchase price, which is, investments don't work like that today. But that was digging through. So the way I got here, if you went back 5 years ago, I owned one commercial building. I got to 120 single family rentals and it was too noisy. They all didn't, I bought them from 2011 on. So they're mass equity, noisy. It's annoying. I went in the process that I spent the last 2 years selling all of them. I'm down to my last 20 and rolling them all up to triple net commercial. So taking loud, noisy things to improving the cash flow, better returns, no noise. Examples being I own a Starbucks north of Atlanta. I own an AT&T building in Huntsville with a cell tower and a billboard and all that stuff. I'm an escrow. I own the Denny's down in Casa Grande.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Not the business, just the real
location.
Estate. Yeah. What else we got? I'm an escrow on a Starbucks right now in the West Valley, brand new. And then and that's the second biggest deal, which will close at the end of this month. And then I've got that deal up there. And so it's just taking loud, noisy assets to better cash flow, high credit tenant stuff.
So one of my things on my wife's bucket list is owning a Starbucks location. So selfishly, what is involved in getting into a Starbucks location?
So it's not any different than buying a house, right? From the mechanical standpoint, right? You've got income and a lease. You've got term, you got credit. The beauty of owning triple net commercial is you're betting on the strength of the business. So Starbucks, it's guaranteed. I mean, they got to go out of business for me to lose. Usually the brand new ones will have a 10-year initial term. Every 5 years, your rent goes up 10%. 5% rent bumps. The one I'm doing is fully triple netted minus the roof, but it's a brand new building with a 20-year warranty. So like I have to cover the roof, but it's warranted. So it's like I'm not really covering it. So there's really nothing to it other than picking your area, and like all things real estate, location matters more than anything.
Yeah. You're just going on Crexy, got a broker.
So what I did in the beginning, I took all my social media apps and deleted them off my phone, and I moved the Crexy app 2 years ago to where my Facebook app was. So now when I'm sitting in line or I'm sitting somewhere, your thumb automatically goes to where it was, and I just started underwriting deals. And so I could tell you, I started by like, I'm just going to underwrite every Starbucks in the country. So you start learning like, well, why is the cap rate 50 basis points higher in the Northeast or the Southwest? And so you start just building a model around. Pretty quickly, I was like, okay, I know what Starbucks trade at. Then you start valuing just random things from gas stations to car washes. So I just became obsessed. And so I had a realtor help me my first deal. And now I represent myself anywhere in the country, and I'll just reduce the price by the commission. And I'm the biggest proponent of triple net commercial. And I think to your point, though, like we wouldn't have started there, right? I don't think you and I would have started our careers buying a $3 million Starbucks.
No, that's like one day I'm going to buy a commercial. It's kind of when we start. One day. But then you got to, what are the assets I got to line up to do that? And the best thing ever is just to roll up. What you learn is the really wealthy people take their assets and they roll them up to better, quieter, more efficient assets, and they keep doing it over. And there's just levels, right? So I'm assuming at some point I'll have 5 or 6 Starbucks or all these, and I'll roll these up to the next best thing that's quieter, better, easier to manage, right? It's just what we do. The entrepreneur finds a better way to create a return. So one thing that's unique, like I said earlier, like I think of all the people that I've had on the show, as far as relationships go, I think I've known you the longest. We haven't connected as much, but I've known you the longest. So we've been through some things, been through some stuff, right? Like you did short sales. I learned short sales from you initially. You did REO, foreclosure properties.
Yeah.
I did foreclosure properties. There are some things today that I feel very similar to 08.
Oh, I think like so close, it's scary.
Right, which is like 2 years ago, I was like, it'll never happen. It's impossible. The way things are going, the number of houses, this and that, it'll never happen. But you're feeling like it's even more close. So I'd love to get your perspective on this.
So I just have my mastermind for my audience for Be Wealthy. We have this mastermind, meet 3 times a year. And so I went over, usually there'll be a section where I open with economic data. So 3 years ago or 2 years ago, I was like, guys, there's nothing to talk about. The world's on fire, keep going, push harder, go. Today I was like, the distress is there. And I'll tell you what it is, it's not going to be real estate led this time, right? So 2008, 9, 10, when you and I met, what drove that crash? People giving mortgages to people with no jobs, no income, no ability to repay, right? The ninja loans, no income, no job, you got it.
Yeah.
Today it's...
Hang on, so let's just say that again, because I think it's a joke that we know, but ninja loans.
Yeah, no income, no job, you get a loan.
Yeah, no income, no job or assets, sign them off.
Boom, let's get him a house.
It's The Big Short where the strippers give you advice.
It's literally that, you and I lived that movie. Yeah. I mean, I saw people, my father-in-law said something in 2008, 9 or 10 that like right in the middle of the crisis. And he said, Brett, whenever I know people that have been losers their entire life and now they're buying millions of dollars worth of real estate. He goes, get out. He goes, when the people that are so dumb are winning, be careful. And it was, looking back at that, I was like, that was really timely. And then it started melting down. So today it's not going to be real estate led. The mortgages we're doing today are incredible, right? Getting a loan's hard.
Yeah.
So the loans are, if you look, what is it? Credit cards and auto loans. So Federal Bank of New York puts out this study. They did it as a result of 2008. And it was designed to be a warning signal to tell people pain's coming. Now it's a quarter delayed. So you just now got the Q2 report, which by the time you get it, it's already outdated. But it kind of tells you the trend. Credit card defaults, if we go back to 2008, 9, 10, the peak, they were like 13.58%. Today, we're just under 13. Credit card defaults.
Yeah.
You can see it by age group. Never has it been easier in the history of Earth to get a credit card than today.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got all these consumers. You've got social media's got a much larger impact on FOMO and feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So what are people doing? They're overextending themselves. They're on payment. So that's the first thing. Second thing's auto loans. You know, if you say, how much did a Chevy Silverado cost 10 years ago? $30,000. I don't know. What does it cost today? $80,000. What were the interest rates then? What do you think? More? Less? 100?
Definitely more today.
Okay. 100? Whatever it is. Yeah. So 30 to 100, if he makes it better. Interest rates were 4-ish then, 6 or 7 now. Yeah. So the car's tripled. Interest rates have doubled. And the requirements to get the car have gone down 40%. Like if you've got a 500 FICO and no job, let's load you up with a $1,700 car payment. Let's do it. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So automotive defaults are like, and the last one, which is the kicker. So those are the two that are going to lead this crash. The kicker is student loans. If you look what's happening, so they just started having to repay about 60 days ago.
Yeah.
The default rates, it's a line that literally on a spreadsheet goes like this.
Well, because you didn't have to pay.
But now, those are the one that you do have to pay. Like it chases you down.
Like I'm saying, like it looks like this because you couldn't default because it wasn't required.
Right. Now
it's required. That wasn't in your budget. You already maxed out prior to the student loans. And then they're required again.
So if you think about, so then the default cycle goes like this. People get behind. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's pain. First thing is you got pain, you're behind. Then you quit, you spend less money at the store, right? Because you're like, hey, I'm missing payments. I've over leveraged. Okay. So miss payments, I start spending less money. So Christmas will be interesting this year to see, is it better than last year or less? It might still be better because the pain's not there yet. But in time, consumers, the more pain they have, they spend less money. They spend less money at the stores. Stores have to lay off employees. Employees get laid off. They have to sell their house. They can't afford them more. Like that's the cycle. Mm-hmm. So I think it will be credit card, auto debt. The last data point I would share, you can go to the St. Louis Fed, and there's an overlay of consumer debt as a total, consumer savings as a percentage.
And that chart looks awful.
And that line, like it can't get much further apart because the savings is so low, it's like 0, so it's like pegged. But the debt's like, and so you're going, the machine does break at some point.
Yeah.
And you can feel it, right? What's being pumped out on the news and everything doesn't reconcile with when I talk to people in the street who are in pain. And so that's what's going to cause it this time, I believe.
So what does that do to real estate? Because obviously it's a stress and it's going to cause motivation. People need to sell. But I mean, we saw like 50% corrections in Phoenix.
Yeah.
Right?
50% or more.
Yeah. Or more. The rest of the country wasn't as bad. Phoenix, California, Florida, decimated. But, Midwest and whatever, they were less bad.
Yeah.
Do you think we're going to have something like an 08, 09? Or do you think it's going to be more like, it's going to be bad, but it's nowhere as catastrophic?
I think the potential is there for it to be as bad. Mm-hmm. I think the potential's there. I mean, I think that consumers have taken on, if you were to compare the debt to the last time, like the consumer debt, like what did people have the average person as a percentage of their income in car debt? Relative to today, the debt's way more.
Yeah.
I think that there's lots of ways they can pull the levers to make things soften. Mm-hmm. One way being, if rates come down dramatically, real estate will get on fire again. Mm-hmm. And if you look at how actually that debt has gotten swallowed up historically, home prices, homes appreciate radically. And then what do people do? They take all their bad decisions and they refinance that back into their home.
Yeah.
And that's what saves people from the 29% default rates. They tuck it in a mortgage at 5-6%.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to someone. So Matthew Potter, we talk every single week, and one of the things he was saying that there's so many loans going right now. In the mortgages, like the way the mortgage people are doing okay now is doing the refinance. They're refinancing out of 3% interest rates and into 6+
with all the debt. But they're moving away from their bad credit card choices, right? Which is kind of good because we're reducing their monthly. But if they don't have the discipline to keep their credit cards low, they're kind of right back in the same spot again. Exactly.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, how this all plays out.
It would not shock me if you and I come back and did a podcast 3 years from today, and when you said values went down 20 or 30%, 20%. I would go, that would not surprise me.
Yeah.
It would not shock
I think
me.
we've already seen it right now. Like the houses that are selling today, you need to sell if you're selling today, right? You're not really like, I'm thinking about upgrading right now. I'm thinking about downsizing right now, right? Like this house got low too. I'm going to downsize. Like, no, like you're selling today. Is like, there's a very strong reason why you're selling.
Totally.
So,
Well, if you look at trend, and then if you look at, okay, then what are the wealthy doing right now? It's interesting. I have this sample data of like the largest probably sample data of high net worth individuals in the country. It's out there publicly. The average interest rate, like the majority of the folks, high net worth individuals, minimum $2 million in investable capital. Okay. It could be worth 250 million or whatever, 15 million. 3 to 4%, I believe, was 65% of them. So, and I saw people had like 2.5%. They're probably 15-year mortgages or whatever. They refinance at the bottom. But a lot of wealthy people have super cheap debt. They're not going to get rid of that.
no.
They're like,
Don't have to.
Are you crazy? Like, why would you ever? I mean, mortgage on my house, I think low threes. Like there was no, like I see people moving into my neighborhood and I'm fascinated.
Yeah.
Like, man, this guy's going to have a $22,000 a month mortgage. Good for him. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can afford that. I have no desire to.
Right.
It's just not a game I want to play.
Yeah. So, okay. So potentially 20% correction.
I think you could see a correction. I think it's going to happen.
Yeah. And then one thing I saw also, I was looking at your bio beforehand, and it said strategic alchemist. What does that mean?
It's just, I think where I shine the most is helping people figure out, and like the analogy I use is most people have a financial junk drawer. Not that the stuff's junk, right? If I went home and pulled out your junk drawer, it's not crap, right? There's a tape measure and there's scissors and a flashlight and the thing that lights your fire. Like there's all that stuff in there. I think people's financial worlds are the same. Here's what I mean by that. Someone told you to get a life insurance policy. Oh, I got to get that. Put it in the drawer. I got to get an umbrella policy. Okay, put it in there. And I got to get a disability policy. Or I got to get whatever these tools. And so financially, our lives become these junk drawers. But when was the last time someone actually went through the junk drawer and organized it and said, hey, Steve, you've got these insurance policies. You're paying 3 times for the same coverage. You actually don't need that, right? So, when I think about the things we do in our communities, we help people figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
Right. What are the tools that you need for the level that you're at? Like just a weird example, I believe that everyone should have a self-directed retirement account, specifically a Roth account.
Yeah.
Figure out how to get there. And then people say, I make too much money. I can't do it. Well, there's a backdoor options. There's tons of ways to do it.
Yeah.
But having the self-directed retirement, especially if you're a real estate investor agent, to invest the money, why would you not want to put it into real estate or deals that you know better than anybody? Like when I coach an agent, I'm like, well, what do you invest your money in? They're like, the stock market. I'm like, okay, well, what do you know about the stock market? How much time are you spending on that? 0, none. Cool. What do you know about the house at 123 Main Street right over there? Who do you think knows more than you about that call you just got? You actually know more than anyone in the world about that deal right now. Seller just told you what they'd sell it for. You know what it'll sell for on the open market. You know the repairs required. So it's just math. You actually are the only person who knows the exact profit that can be made on that deal right now.
Yeah.
And yet, you're going to bring that deal to, like the average realtor takes that deal and brings it to a client to do. And then they make a 3% commission. And I'm like, I don't understand what you're even doing at all.
Right.
Like you should be a principal. Go do that. You can legally use your self-directed retirement to go flip that home and make great money. And then it would all be tax-free, right? That's just an example of, I just think people they're not lining up their tools and investing in the thing they know better than anyone, which is typically what they're doing for a living. But even if there's a dentist watching, right? There's a way a dentist could take his capital, like those dental machines, when you go in, I just had a tooth done, those machines are like $800,000 that can make like the crown like on site or even more. Well, they're largely leased. So, what if you didn't lease the machine? So you couldn't use your self-directed retirement for yours, but your buddy that's a dentist, you could use it for his machine. So like, why wouldn't you invest in the thing that you know better than anyone and put your money in just a vehicle where you've got an unfair advantage to play legally? And I just don't think people are thinking through their money that way. Most people are crazy successful. And you and I were talking before we started today, which was the gap between making a lot of money and managing a lot of money, those skills they have nothing to do with each other. Right? Like the skill to make a lot of money is leadership, strategy, economics, plan, all those things matter. And money, it's those things, but it's just a different skill, different language. And you got to go into the process of learning the tools for where you're at and what do you want and how much risk do you want to take and how much debt should be in your profile and a bunch of questions that you got to go unlock. And so helping people figure that out, I think, is the stuff that gets them where they want to go.
Well, and I think that goes back to the ability to zoom out. I think that you were saying that the step one of you think you have one solution, which is great, one option, which is great, but let's look at all the other options. We do this all the time when we're trying to solve problems, but you're saying even like for someone that's making money, is like to zoom out to see like where do you want to be, and then how do you get there, and what are your different options. But step one is just zooming out.
Yeah,
it's just taking the time to actually slow down and think. One of my favorite books, I should read it more often, is The Road Less Stupid.
Oh, it's so good, Keith.
Right. Keith Cunningham.
Which was Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad.
Oh, was he?
You knew that, right?
I didn't know that.
Keith Cunningham was Robert in the book. The Rich Dad is Keith.
Yeah.
So it's not shocking that the greatest book. I mean, that book's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. So just taking the time to actually sit down, analyze, review. Talking about the financial junk drawer, just sit down and review your junk drawer. And how is this junk drawer right now serving where you want to go? Well, first, slow down, figure out where you want to go, and let's analyze the junk drawer.
No, 100. I mean, it starts there, right? Then you can formulate a plan, a system, a process based on the tool. A minute ago, you talked about taxes, right? You're saying you're a CPA. I don't think people realize that's one of the areas we start because it's quick wins, right? I mean, when you have a new client or someone new to our coaching programs, taxes are where we start. Yeah. Because every dollar we can help someone get back, right? It's a real savings, and it can go right back into your business to create more wealth. But people don't there's so much opportunity. And I would say this, for those that are watching and you go like, Brett, taxes are hard. I don't get it. 15 years ago, I didn't know anything about tax. I can tell you I know zero. Now, because of the things I do for a living, I've read every book that exists on taxes. Like I'm a nerd, right? I've read every single one. And you realize, man, there's just a framework out there, but from, the one big beautiful bill just got passed, right? So do people know the changes that actually impact them? Bonus depreciation went back to 100%. Do you understand how cost segregation works? I still see here people that they're not doing cost segregations on single family rentals. And so people that aren't aware, instead of taking a single family rental and depreciating it over 27 and a half years equally, you can basically take a lot of that and do it in the first year. And it saves you money on your earned income. So you pay less tax today. Now you're going to pay the depreciation. You're not going to get as much in the future, but when would you rather have $1 today or 30 years from now? Yeah. Well, today. But people don't realize those things, or the qualified business income deduction is 20% of your net income, but you have to meet certain payroll thresholds. And not to get nerdy in the weeds, but I would give you 4 examples of there's a whole language out there that's got to be learned. So get with the tax professional and ask them hey, how can I save tax? What else can I be doing? Should I set up a defined benefit plan for my company? Or how should I think about these different things? Because you can really control your tax bill in large part by the decisions you make, but you got to go revisit the junk drawer and have conversations, get great professionals, which really leads you to who's your wealth team? Who's with you on this journey? And you need really specific people in your world if you want to have a really big life. Yeah.
Well, we talk about the language of wealth. I mean, I think this is the first time we ever actually used the words combine, who's your wealth team? But that's a fantastic question.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you don't have a wealth team,
you're probably not going to be wealthy. I don't know that I can't think of a single person who has massive wealth that doesn't have an incredible team.
Yeah, but if you look at the correlation, right? If they have a wealth team, the likelihood of them being wealthy, not having a wealth team, the likelihood pretty stark, right? It's one of the things that I remember reading was the difference between millionaires and not. One of the strongest correlations is, do they have a library in their house, right?
That's Jim Rohn, I believe.
Yeah. Could be.
Yeah.
But I would say another one, maybe a stronger correlation is do you have a wealth team?
It's a good one. Let's talk about who's on it, right? On your wealth team, number one, your CPA. So could be your CPA, could be your tax strategist. They may or may not be the same person.
Right.
So really wealthy people have a tax strategist, and that can be called a tax attorney, might be a way they name it. But it's someone who they're not just dropping the numbers in the boxes. They're designing strategy around where you're trying to land. Your insurance broker. When you're wealthy, you have tons of insurance policy. I mean, from all things, from life to medical to property casualty to general liability to umbrellas to all, insurance broker. Your banker. People underestimate the power of banking. I didn't understand how banking worked. Today I'm operating in the private banking world, and I didn't know what private banking basically, it's all portfolioed with the bank. They get to know you and like you, and they're making credit decisions like one person's just deciding. I do loans, like this big deal. I did the loan via text with my banker. Hey, dude, I'm buying this. Cool. Here's what I could do. Got it. We're done. A few documents go over, but it's minimal. It's nothing like a residential mortgage, right? But like your banker though, people think, okay, they're just doing my financing. I actually bring them due diligence on other deals. I'm like, how would you guys think about this deal? Because banks are the smartest businesses out there.
Oh, yeah.
So I leverage their expertise. Like, hey, how would you guys underwrite this deal?
Fantastic question.
Right? Like, you're the biggest private bank in the country. I can learn a lot from them. How about your estate attorney? Someone that's going to leave your legacy. You need a trust. If you're going to be wealthy, you're going to have a trust. Now, there's all levels of that conversation, but you got to avoid estate taxes. And does your legacy pass the way you want to others? And who are your trustees? And who are your successor trustees? So this whole wealth team, I think those are the 5 people I'd start with. And as you grow, your team may not grow with you, right? So I've had to, some of my, as things have happened in my life where we've raised to a different, economic status, some people aren't there for the whole journey, right? Like that CPA that's great when you make $150,000 a year may not be as great when you're making $5 million. You might need different advice. But I think to your point, people don't have the conversation on who's even in my wealth team.
Right.
And get clear on who it is.
Yeah, that's huge. I think the conversation I'm thinking about, as we're having this conversation, like I'm having this conversation with my wife, right? Like, hey, who's on our wealth team? But the other thing too is we're going to start looking at Crexy. And underwriting Starbucks all day, every day.
Go to the auctions on Crexy, click auctions.
Yeah.
And look at it's fascinating. Go to the buy and go look at, you can just pop Starbucks in there. Just start looking at tenant credit. Look for the best tenant credit you can get.
Yeah. And
it's fascinating. It's like my favorite thing to do is mess around on Crexy. If I got 20 minutes, I'm on there hunting down deals.
That's phenomenal. So we've talked a lot. If someone wanted to reach out and connect with you or your company, what is the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, either check out our podcast, Be Wealthy, or bewealthy.com. And our mission is very simple, and we share the same one, which is we just want to help people get what they want out of life. So typically our audience is either business owners, but largely real estate investors, real estate agents, that maybe want to find a better way or think differently about their money specifically. Yeah. So check that out. But my goal here today was just talk to you. You were the first one to ask, and I wanted to add as much value as I could to your audience.
Well, I think you added a tremendous amount of value, so I really appreciate you coming out. Jumping on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, dude.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Shout out to Steve Train. Jump on the Steve Train. Disruptors.